All right. So I think this is vlog 37. I erased my other one because it didn't really serve a purpose. I don't think it was just really me griping. This one does serve a better purpose. I'm calling it In a Bind Multiple Chemical Sensitivities. So last week, so someone had just used a very small amount of Downy and it got aerosolized. And usually I don't have any reaction to any of these chemicals, um, and certainly not um, like anything I've ever bought from Amazon. You just open the thing and you put it in your room and it's fine. But something has definitely changed, and the reason why I call it In a Bind, and it's all capital, because bind is called benzo-induced neurological disorder or disturbance or something. I forgot the exact name of the acronym, but I am assuming this is what I've been dealing with since 2018, maybe a little earlier, but definitely 2018 was when I first noticed um, chemical sensitivities. And like, especially this first thing was probably smoke, and then it was chemicals, perfumes. But it wasn't to this degree where it was like causing. And it's probably because I wasn't going through like the actual like acute stages of withdrawal or whatever it's called. I was just having the neurological damage that long-term benzo use had. So I was on benzos from 2005 to 12, which is a long time, and it was 4 milligrams of Ativan, and that was on a top of I think antidepressants as well. My mind's even moving a little slow today because it's not a terrible symptom day, but it's not that great either. So what happened is that I'm going through withdrawal from these benzos, but so you have to taper off them, right? To let your brain try to recalibrate, and maybe they call it multiple chemical sensitivities will go away or it'll die down at least while you're off them, while your receptors have a chance to like you know either regrow um, or like I said, just sort of become more adaptive to um, your environment. The with the less exposure you have to them. So in modern society, it's almost impossible to have no exposure, but you can lessen that. But I think the big point is that a lot of people get misdiagnosed with MECFS. So that's what I think maybe happened to me, is that I got misdiagnosed with it because with MECFS, I mean, because nobody knew about bind, right? And it wouldn't be like anyone on anyone's radar. Like, why would it be? Like, even given my patient history, because there's a gap. I mean, 2012 to 2018, then I have symptoms. But it's not like it's uncommon, but it's not a thing. So people who have been off benzos for years can have these relapses into them and can have the what is basically kind of a neurodegenerative effect um, years after they've done taken them. I've been off them for a while, and I had been off them for a very long time. But I thought, and so I just kept having these like up and down yo-yo effects where I like every time I would try to like reintegrate myself back into life, I had to like immediately slow down again because some like all the symptoms would come back. Um, I was dating someone in 2019, and we were at during this period I had like intense insomnia. Like I was only getting a couple hours of sleep at night, and it was usually from like 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. like pretty consistently, um, which is really difficult. Um, but I was dating someone at the time, and we had gone to like one of their friends' farms, and I had just spent all day on the farm. And then when I came back, I was able to sleep. And it wasn't because I like worked so hard all day. It was because I really think it was because I was just away from all these chemicals, and it gave my body just my nervous system like a chance, like because I was on high alert all the time. And I think it was just really because some of the chemical sensitivity, some of the noise sensitivities, and the light sensitivities, I just wasn't it wasn't registering to me that this is what that was. So fast forward to 2022, I have intense crash, like fatigue, right? And so you look up what the causes could be, and it's a lot of things. But then when you get to like what crashes, and then the only thing that really comes up was, and also that matched the intensity of the fatigue, was myalgic encephalomyelitis, or chronic fatigue syndrome, right? And so that's what I got diagnosed with. You know, it doesn't. I mean, I could still have it. That's not. It doesn't. Me having this doesn't preclude having that, but it does make more sense that, given my history of benzo use, that this would be the more like less the case. Now, it's really frustrating and upsetting because it causes neuropsychiatric issues, right? Because it disturbs your nervous system so much. Now, I think what happens. I mean, you can develop it either way. It's not a good fun thing to develop, because I don't think it makes it necessarily harder to come off the medications, but you have to go much slower, and that's also difficult because you want to get off them as fast as possible. But at the same time, you need those medications, so at least the chemicals are tolerable. So, for example, I was down to 2.5 milligrams of Valium, and that was too fast, like way too fast, because I was only at 10. I know some people are like 80 or 70 or whatever, but I was only at 10. So like my road isn't going to be as well. It's not like deterministic. Like you can't just go 10%, 10%, 10% every month and expect that to be the norm. I might have to hold 10% cuts for 2 months or 6 weeks or something. But I think the case being is that I had to reinstate back the full 10 milligrams, and that seems to be the only thing that is reducing the volatility of the symptoms. So I'll give you an example. Like I everything, when the Downey thing happened, basically everything reeked of it, right? And it was causing me a lot of symptoms, and I couldn't even sleep in my own room, basically. And so then I was like, all right, well, I had to buy a new mattress, and so I bought one from Amazon, and that was a waste of money, obviously, because I couldn't. The second I opened it, these things, they have this degassing process, which no one else in the world, basically, who doesn't have either heightened sensitivities or multiple chemical sensitivities, would know about, right? So everyone, whether you're smelling it or not, is inhaling this shit, right? I'm just not smelling it because it's like phantom smells or something like that. Everyone in the world is breathing this shit in, right? You just don't notice it because it's happening at such low particulate level. But it's so strong for me that it's like almost like rat poison, right? It felt like my room was being fumigated, and so I had to like stay downstairs, go outside. It was very unnerving to have to do that. Even this morning was not that great, and that could have been because the medication was wearing off and I had missed a dose, or it could have been also because I tried to like install like an exhaust fan here, and then with like a carbon filter in the back, which traps a lot of what these VOCs, which is like it stands for like volatile organic compounds. But I think it was just obstructing airflow, if I'm being honest. But this seems to be more likely the case. Now, the shitty thing about it is that you could develop ME/CFS probably from something like this as well. I think maybe, so it's like I'm not out of the woods yet, but I would like to think that I can get off this shit and have my brain just be like it's going to probably take years, because I've had this for 7 years, but I just didn't know that my brain was being exposed to this shit, because I just didn't know. I mean, I knew smoke bothered me. I knew certain perfumes bothered me. Detergents at the time did not bother me, but I knew certain animals things bothered me. Certain outdoor smells like exhaust really bothered me. But it had to be like almost like really highly volatile substances. But now everything at a low trace amount is really bad. So if it's just on my skin or my clothes, even, so I have to constantly like recycle my clothes, stuff like that. I bought an all natural pillow, but I never took it out of the plastic wrapping. So it's like, it's frustrating because everywhere you go is this shit. which brings up other questions of like how we produce stuff. Like VOCs, making things with VOCs is just one of the cheaper ways to make shit. And China leads the world in like VOC output, and it makes sense because like they're like the factory of the world right now, and a lot of the consumer products are made there. So it would make sense that they would choose one of the cheaper options. Now they're trying to eliminate that stuff because they must know that it fucking is dreadful for people, um, and it's difficult to get out as well. Like you have to buy special filters with like carbon or zeolith in them or something like that. I've had to like do a lot of research this week under non-optimal conditions, but so that seems to be more likely the case, because what I noticed, like even though I'm having fatigue on the daily still again, not right now, but like especially when I get up, it's usually probably because of the tax that this puts on your nervous system and your brain and all the other things. And so like I have to figure out a way to get away from it as much as possible to mitigate it while I'm coming off these benzos. It's a lot, like benzos do. I didn't just realize how much damage they can do. I knew withdrawal was always going to be a bitch. I just didn't know that it could actually cause like an actual syndrome or disorder, especially the magnitude of some of our worst illnesses, because it leaves you mentally unstable, physically unstable, socially unstable, environmentally, a lot of instability, and you need some stability throughout the day. So yesterday was okay. Like I was sitting in my room pretty much all day. I had some burning in my throat, but not a lot. And it wasn't like I had to keep getting up and going out and going outside and catching it. But even when you go outside, I'll catch like a stream of like someone doing laundry from very far away, probably. Right. That's another thing too, is like I could smell things from very far away because the airstream is carrying it or whatever, or current is carrying it. So that's also frustrating because it's like you think you're away from something and then it's like, nope. So anyways, yeah, that's all I had to say. It's unpleasant, but hopefully it can diminish. So maybe I have that to look forward to, but it's going to be very difficult and hard. But I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row on that. So no, that's all I had to say. I mean, I missed the whole severe ME day, but I just don't feel like that matches my symptomology anymore. So yeah, don't know what I'm going to do about that. I still have to talk to doctors, but yeah. All right. Thanks.